Hey guys, what's good? Hope everybody's doing well. Let me start off this video before I get to the watch with my customary apology for not making as much content as I need to, as I want to, as quickly as I should. I think my last video was about a month ago. That was that really cool Tudor Ranger video. Please check that out. And in fact, in that video, this watch was previewed actually. And this is a Grand Seiko. This is the newer GMT from Grand Seiko. So this is the SBGN027. And, you know, it's the latest version of this high accuracy quartz GMT that Grand Seiko makes. And those are nice watches because they're not very expensive watches. It's a Grand Seiko, but it's a quartz, and it's a nice entry into the world of Grand Seiko and a nice entry into the world of quartz. And when the new one came out, I definitely wanted to check it out, see what all the fuss was about. And, you know, like most Grand Seikos, there's a lot to like, and there's a lot of head scratchers too. But it's a cool watch, and let me take you through it real quick before I put it on my wrist. Let's see now. First, the dimensions. One of the big pros of this watch is that it's kind of a good size, not too big, not too small, just right. And so the diameter is 39 millimeters. So it's right there at that 38, 39, 40, 41 millimeters that people seem to like right now. The lug width is 19 millimeters, and so that's always a thing with Grand Seikos. You know, one thing they changed from the previous version to this version is the placement of the crown. So you can see instead of at 3 o'clock, the crown moves down to 4 o'clock. And the date also moves down to 4 o'clock. This one comes in a couple of different colors. And this is kind of like the most basic color. This is just kind of like the, I don't know, the black, gray, steel version of the watch. And so you can see that it has really nicely done hands. And you can see that second's hand is taking along, does a pretty good job of hitting the marks too. And so hopefully this next generation of Grand Seiko can get that a little righter. You know, one nick on this watch, I think, is honestly that the GMT hand needs a little more contrast, you know, because at a glance it really gets confused for you know, for the minutes hand. You can see that the logo has changed a little bit. To me, it looks like the GS marking is a little bit larger, the Grand Seiko is larger, and all they have otherwise on the dial is GMT, otherwise some really small writing here at 6 o'clock telling you about the movement. Let's see what else. You know, if you look at the chapter ring, you see how the top half is black and the bottom half is like the silvery color. You see that? So that's a cool little effect. And the bezel is fixed, and it's got the 24-hour markings on it. You know, even though this is a quartz watch, it's not like a perpetual calendar or an annual calendar. So at the end of the month, if it ends in 30, you're going to have to fast forward the date. It's not that hard. The crown screws down, and you can see how it's, and Seiko is doing this a lot now. And from what I've read, it's due to ease of servicing, and they don't need to completely replace so many parts whenever they service these watches as like they used to. And so it's kind of tucked in to the case a little bit. And so, but it's a screw down crown. You know, one thing that's interesting is that I don't know what the water resistance of this watch is at all. You go to Grand Seiko's website and it's listed as 100 meters, but a lot of reviews listed as 200 meters, even recent reviews. And so if somebody can give me some clarity on that, please let me know. But so it's between 1 and 200 meters. I almost hate to do this because we're on such a positive note, but it just bears repeating. I mean, this is a $3,300 watch, man. I mean, this is not inexpensive by any stretch of the imagination. That's a lot of money. Even on the secondary market and trade values, I mean, you're looking at like $2,500, $2,600, $2,700, $2,800. The bracelet is just awful. I mean, it's like a joke that Grand Seiko is playing with us. I've got another GMT watch just to compare. This is from a Geneva-based brand here. Let me see if I can get it to focus. And look, I'm not asking for that quality. I get it. Like Grand Seiko is like the Hyundai of high-end watches. I get it. I'm not asking for you know what I mean, that kind of quality. But let me just show you this real quick. And look, so here's the end links. You know, to their credit, Seiko still does. Look at that, the lug holes. So, you know, to their credit, I appreciate that. But you know, the end links, they extend far beyond the case. And look at this. This is a stock watch. They just move like crazy. I mean, it's just like a rickety, jangly mess. And it's just shocking how generation after generation of Grand Seiko watches just continue to use just like look at that. Just really substandard bracelets, man. I mean, just really bad. And, you know, I mean, I've owned so many watches. I will tell you that a bracelet makes or breaks a watch. You know, it really does. Sizing it is just fiddly and hard and unnecessarily complicated. You know, the clasp works well. You know, so that's good. The clasp works really well. Just the usual. Nothing fancy. You know, nothing special in any way. It's the same. Except for a little bit of polishing, it's the same basic stuff you get on a $1,000 Seiko. So it's not as if they upgrade the bracelet anyway. But just please, for Grand Seiko, please make your bracelets better. It's almost funny how bad they are because people just stop mentioning that now. But I think it's important to note because if you're getting this watch, if you're spending, you know, $3,000, $2,500 or in between that, expecting just like, man, that is like a solid watch. It ain't that. I mean, it ain't that. It's a nice watch. It's a nice watch, but it's nothing like. I'm not even talking about Rolex level. It's not even Omega level. It's not even Longines level or Tissot level. So this is just, like I said, that's a big knock. Anyway, let me put this thing on the wrist and let me show you around it a little bit more. Okay, give me a second. Okay, we're back. So there you see it. It is a good-looking watch. I have to say that it's a good-looking watch. It's a you know, well-sized watch. It's a pretty well-designed watch, and it's certainly a tried-and-true design. You know, the good thing about this particular Grand Seiko is that it holds its value pretty well. You know, so if you get it secondhand, $2,500, $2,600, $2,700, $2,800. You're not going to take hardly any kind of haircut. And the reason for that is because this watch is, you know, for me, like a lot of people, it's mostly just trade bait. You know what I mean? I had some watches. I did a multi-watch deal, got this, knowing that, hey, I can enjoy it. I can really see what the new Grand Seiko kind of line is, what the advantages and the disadvantages, which way they're moving, and when it's time for me to move it along, it's not going to be any drama. Let me put it on my wrist and show you what it looks like that. This is the, like I said, I got this old Geneva-based watch. Let me get this piece of junk off and show you the SBGN027, okay? Nice watch, man. It's a nice watch. You know, it's kind of like, the other thing on this watch is that I really wish they had a, like a butterfly type clasp. I think it would work a lot better on this watch. So let's see, let's put this thing on. And there you see it on the wrist. Of course, the bracelet has no micro adjustment whatsoever, no micro adjustment, and they give you some half links, so that can help some. Listen, I'm going to get off of the bracelet right now. It's just so frustrating, but I'm going to stop talking about it right now. So yeah, there you see it on the wrist. I like it. It looks nice on the wrist. It kind of gives me some vibes of you know, previous generation Rolex Explorers. But yeah, I like this colorway too. It's very muted. It's very under the radar. The caveat being is that the GMT hand really blends in. I mean, you know, so it really is confusing. You have to look at it for a second. I don't mind the crown location either. I think it's cool. I think it adds a little bit of much needed interest to an ultimately kind of boring watch, but you know, boring in a good way, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, the crown I think works fine. It never dug into my wrist on the previous version, and still it just feels really comfortable on the wrist. The date location at 4, I don't mind that because it gives the dial a little bit more symmetry. You know, even though this is a Seiko, it's a Grand Seiko, which means that the loom is not great, but it's adequate. You know what I mean? It's not close to say Rolex loom or anything like that, but it's adequate. You know, if you need it in a glance and you're just in the darkness for a little bit. But yeah, this is the SBGN027. It's an adequate watch. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's not anything that I would aspire to, or it's not anything I would recommend or not recommend. You know what I mean? It's fine. It's like I said, I think that was a pretty good analogy. It's like the Hyundai of luxury watches. It's adequate transportation. It's got some luxury features, but you know, it's not anything that is going to you know, be special or collectible or meaningful in any way. But having said that, I think it's a good watch. You know what I mean? Not every watch has to be special, meaningful, collectible. Not every watch has to be that, but whenever you have a lot of watches or collect watches or, you know, buy, sell, and trade watches a lot, it's important because, you know, those things, you end up I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, unless a watch has something special or meaningful, there's no need for you to have it. You know what I mean? There's so many good watches out there. There's so many interesting watches. You know, some are cheaper, some are more expensive. And so if one is just kind of like a blah watch, then, you know, you find it doesn't stick around very much. But, you know, your mileage may vary. Listen, if you're looking for a Grand Seiko, you don't want just like the bargain bin, you know, the quartz Grand Seiko, you say you want the GMT one. It's got some finishings and some features of some of the higher end ones. Then I think the GMT is an easy choice. You know, it's a lot of watch. It's a lot of watch at like, you know, $2,000. It's not much watch at $3,300, which is the MSRP. At $2,500, $2,600, $2,700, it's fine. It's fairly priced, and you're not going to lose a bunch of money on it. Look, I'm not a Grand Seiko hater. I like Seiko. I love Seiko. You know that. And I love some Grand Seikos, but you know, this one didn't really do it for me. Just like the previous version of this one didn't really do it for me. I don't get the point of this watch whenever there's so many other better ones, even within Seiko's lineup. Anyway, listen, I'm rambling as always. I'm sorry for the delay between videos. I hope you found this interesting and useful. Please don't misunderstand me. This is a cool watch. I like it. I'm glad to have it. I'm glad to own it. But having said that, I'm, you know, always seeking out trades and sales to see if I can improve my watch situation. Guys, appreciate y'all logging on. Thank you very much, and I look forward to making some more content for y'all. I promise sooner. Okay, take care. Bye.